us, it's a great honor to represent this brand here and to promote this brand down here. So we were just going to ask you a few questions about,
Sure.
Like for me at night, I'm thinking about, I'm like, why, how did he figure out to have get rum from Mauritius and then ship it down to Barbados and blend it with the Four Square rums, and so where did the idea come from, or how did it start?
Well, I mean, the idea came about of being a global ambassador. When very fortunate that I get to try and sample and work with so many distilleries around the world that are making some of the best liquids in the world, let alone rum. So when my business partners approached me with an idea for a concept for a rum brand, I said, well, you know what? In my years of experience, that concept may not work, but there is elements of it that could work. And it was timing. It was time to actually put my name to a brand, actually create a brand, something that will be a legacy, something that I can look back and say, wow, you know what? I'm so proud to be proud of that. Something that maybe the kids can grow up and say, oh man, daddy created that. Friends and fellow rum drinkers in the future will be sipping and drinking that particular brand. So that was the general idea of putting the rum together. But then it's all about the mechanics, the story, the liquid, authenticity, all the things that I like to promote and love about the rum category. This rum had to say all of those things. And also not compromise my position as an ambassador for the category. Because although I'm not officially paid by any particular rum company, all of these rum companies hire me to talk about their rums and the category of rum. So also I wanted to try and create a brand that was also elevating the category of rum, and still say to everyone else, if you're not drinking us, drink an Appleton, drink a Malgate, drink a Four Square, drink an English Harbour if you're in Antigua, drink a Chairman's Reserve if you're in St. Lucia. So I want to be talking about all of these rums as well, because they are great liquids. So being a Jamaican, but also an African Caribbean here in the UK, we wanted to try to create a rum that really displayed part of the heritage. Now, Africa, as you know, is the epicenter of the world for me. So all creation came from. But if we're talking about rum, the epicenter of rum is the Caribbean, and Barbados is the place where rum got its name. So, and unfortunately, I have a good friend, a colleague, and also a shareholder in EQUIANO, Richard Seal, who's making some of the best liquids in the world. So I said to Richard, listen, I want to create a brand. I'd love you to be involved with it. And my idea is to create an African Caribbean rum and getting rums from Africa. Yeah. And I know there was one particular rum brand that he enjoyed, he liked. We were trying in Hong Kong, funny enough. That's from the African continent, and that was rums from Mauritius. So he said, yeah, okay, fine. Because I said, I want to get rums from New Grove. Bring some of those rums out here for you to blend and create. So Richard gave the okay for that. So it was then getting the right rums, getting the samples from Mauritius, mixing them with some Four Square rums at home in my kitchen, tasting that, and basically come out of a profile that I was like, wow, you know what? I could sip that, I could drink that, I could mix that, and still feel nice. Richard described it really perfect for me as well, when a lot of people, some people saying, I really get that Four Square signature inside there. And Richard said, the Four Square signature is there, but it's the extra component is that French oak or ex-cognac barrel rum from Mauritius that's blended in there. It takes it to that slightly different dimension. We're not saying it's better than any other Four Square. We're not saying it's better than any other Mauritian rum, but it's just something different. But more importantly, I'm always an advocate of people having sessions. I suppose that's the Caribbean inside us. It's like, you have a rum, bottle must finish before we leave. So it had to be a session rum. Because Richard is known at the moment for making some great, what we call the exceptional casks, which I assume you have some of them there. And some of those rums, they're rums you just sip and you savor and you nurture.
You just need a little tipple of that.
Yeah.
And you just enjoy the flavors, incredible flavors coming out.
Exactly.
Yeah,
and some of them are cask strength, and some of them are just under cask strength, like 56 up to 63% ABV. And that's a different animal. That's one you just sit down and enjoy. If you're into cigars, you have a smoke of your cigar, and you take your time with that. In Jamaica, would say you nurse that. But I wanted to create a rum that you have to doctor. A doctor, as in like, finish it. A session rum. As such. And there's a few rums that I see as session rums. I see like Appleton 12 is a session rum. Dawley's 12, Dawley's XO, session rums. you and a couple of friends, you sit down with that bottle, and then you finish that either with coconut water, you drink it with ice, you drink it with neat, you drink it with your favorite mixer. And that's what we used to do back in the days where we were around the table and having a laugh and liming with rum. So EQUIANO had to be a premium version of a session rum, and bringing new, and more importantly, bringing a new audience to rums. Because it's not only made for rum lovers, it's also made for people that drink whiskey and drink brandies and aged spirits. And that's another reason why the palate and the chain, the profile had to be one that was easily accepted onto your palate, into your nose, into the aromas. So a lot of combination, a lot of things were being thought about when we were trying to come up with a blend and the concept of what EQUIANO was. So we've gone with 43% alcohol by volume, just to give that little bit of extra bite, instead of doing like in Europe, and a lot of premium rums are sold as 40. Of course, we didn't want to go to the cask strength, but we will be doing some high-end stuff, because the EQUIANO you have there will be our entry level for our gold style. So we're only going up just for the gold, for what we see, the age stuff. So next ones will be either an aged plain, or maybe a vintage. We're using some vintage four squares and some vintage greys rums from Mauritius. So in answer to the question, yeah, we wanted to create a drink, a rum that people would say was a drinking rum. Can it be sipped? Yes. Can it be mixed in a cocktail? Yes. Can I sip it with my favorite mixer? Yes. It's a drinking rum, and it had to have all those components and flavors of the two islands.
We really have a strong passion for rum. To me, this is such a wonderful and unique rum.
But what's funny is when rums are compared to whiskey, the default for whiskey seems to be Scotch. So people compare rum to Scotch. But you highlighted about rums are made around the world, but whiskeys are made around the world as well. So Scotch is not the same as Irish. And Irish is not the same as American bourbon or rye. And American bourbon and rye is not the same as Canadian or even Japanese whiskeys. So they have their slight differences, in fact, big differences in some of the whiskey, in some of the whiskey profiles. Some are finished in sherry casks. Some will use new woods, some will use once used bourbon barrels. So there were different styles of whiskey. Within Scotland, you've got your Speyside, which are quite fruity and subtle, which is my favorite style of Scotch whiskey. But then you have your big peaty, robust, brine, salty Islers. Again, so if you're into your Arbegs and your Lafroigs, then that's your style of whiskey. But you get that with rum. So you have your big Jamaican rums as well. So with lots of flavor. And Appleton, as you know, is a blended rum that maybe is not as funky as rums coming out of Trelawney from like Hamden or Long Pond. So slight differences, even with the island of Jamaica, but it's still big and heavy in flavor compared to, say, Barbados, which is a bit more lighter, medium-bodied, fruity, still got lots of wood if you're maybe going up north to Mount Gay or coming down south to Foursquare, which they blend and age their rum slightly different. And then you got other extremes. You go to St. Lucia. Now, St. Lucia, we know, is, depending on what rums you have in St. Lucia, can be really big and boisterous, whether it's like a Chairman's Reserve with some of those two pot stills, the Vendome or the John Doors inside there, mixed with their beautiful column still. Or it might be light, 100% column, but single column, what we call traditional column, like the Amarodney, which again is just one of the best rums on the planet. But that's just coming from one island, from one distillery in St. Lucia, and English Harbour in Antigua, the same thing. They come with a Sabal still, so they're producing something light, medium-bodied and fruity, but they're all different from each other. And as you said, it's about finding your niche, tasting it. I haven't found my niche yet because I drink too much rum. So, but yeah, finding your niche and then saying, yeah, I like that. But if any good quality rum will have, if you enjoy quality spirits, any good quality rum will be able to deliver a profile, a sensation, a satisfaction that you can then sip and savor and appreciate that. And that's what I'm hoping that people, when they start trying and taste EQUIANO, they're in that type of mindset. They appreciate good spirits. I think one of the roundabout compliment ways we got from a general consumer was they were like, wow, you know what? That rum is so sweet. It's just so easy to drink. And I was like, well, what do you mean sweet? Because there's no sugar added to it. It's 100% all natural. And they're like, wow, it's just really sweet. And that's a testament to the blending skills of Richard at Foursquare, that he's got that natural sweet rum, which is what you get from a Barbados rum. Barbados rum, true Barbados rum, is sweet, but not sweetened. Now, there's some great rums that have been sweetened, but it's just that this one doesn't have to be.
Awesome. So there are more offerings coming.
Yes. We actually have next year, because a lot of being a person that works in the industry, of a lot of bartenders, a lot of bartenders have said, well, we like EQUIANO in cocktails, but will you ever do a lighter EQUIANO to use for some of the lighter styles of cocktails? So the next EQUIANO we're producing, which should be ready in the next 4 months, tasted samples recently, will be a lighter version of EQUIANO. It's still a blend of rums from Foursquare and Mauritius, but instead of doing 2 molasses rums, we're doing a molasses rum and the fresh sugarcane juice rum blended together. Blended together.
Serious?
Yeah, man. Yeah, there's
What?
some of the samples here.
I always thought about that. Yeah, man.
We do that. So we did some tastings. We actually did a tasting last week of a few bartenders. It's like 3-year-old Foursquare, and then we blend some younger age fresh sugarcane juice rums and unaged fresh sugarcane juice rums from Mauritius, just to give that little finish. So we didn't want it to be totally sugarcane juice like Martinique or Guadeloupe, the agriculture from there. We just want to get a little bit of that grassiness and that sugarcane note on the aroma and on the taste, on the finish. But what it does, it gives a really nice earthy type of feel in this light rum. Color-wise, it's like a straw color. So we don't call it white, although a lot of people will, but it's a light. So we call it EQUIANO Light. 43% alcohol again, but that in a daiquiri, just 2 ounces of that, 1 ounce of fresh lime, half an ounce of sugar syrup. Give that a good shake and a twist of orange, and you've got a beautiful tasting EQUIANO Light daiquiri. So again, we wanted to have the blends of Mauritius, Barbados, Africa, and the Caribbean, but bringing something different to the table, we add a little bit of fresh sugarcane juice. As I said, it's a case of the timing was right, and because I work with a lot of distilleries, I'm very excited for the future of EQUIANO, because it means with myself and with Richard, we have access to a lot of good quality rums, not only just from Barbados, but from other parts of the world, and the African continent as well, where we can bring to Barbados, and we say and Richard and myself will say, right, okay, let's try something new, get a few thousand bottles of that, and then let people drink it and try it and have a different experience. You have that in whiskey. You have the Johnny Walkers of the world who make some great blends, some of the best liquids in the world, because they have access to some great single malt whiskies in Scotland. Why can't we do that in rum, where we have access to some great rums from around the world and create some really good blends for people to sip, savor, and enjoy, whether you're the casual rum drinker, whether you're the serious connoisseur, or whether you're the mixologist and bartender, or more importantly, if you're a whiskey drinker or brandy drinker that wants to get into rums, then come and try a rum like EQUIANO.
Absolutely. And I know we don't want to take up too much more of your time. I know you're a busy man, but
I love talking about rum.
So the name, tell me about the EQUIANO, the person, and why the...
So again, that was another important part of the story, and another important part of why I decided to get involved and do a rum. So Alauda EQUIANO was a person I'd learnt about in Saturday school, because it wasn't part of the school curriculum, because in school in the UK, they don't have Black history. They have it Black History Month, but you don't really learn about Black British history, let alone Black history, as part of the school curriculum. So I learnt about Alauda EQUIANO when I was very young, was amazed about just simple things that he did in a country where he was definitely in the minority, but at a time where people like himself as an African were seen as property as opposed to seen as a human being. So when he was enslaved, by the time he was 11, in Africa, he was brought over to Barbados. He was then taken to America and sold to a captain of a ship and brought to England. So his journey was Africa, Barbados, US, and the UK. And that is the same journey as our rum, the rum makes. Our rum starts off in Africa. It then travels to Barbados, where it's blended with Barbadian rum. And then from Barbados, it goes to America and it goes to the UK. The rum will go to this EQUIANO Foundation until we start making a profit, because we are still fairly new, less than 2 years old. We're donating $2 of every bottle sold from our website, and £2 from every bottle we sell from our website. And that goes to our chosen charity. This year, our chosen charity is Anti-Slavery International, one of the oldest anti-slavery organizations in the world, started off in the 19th century. So we're partnering with them. We'll be doing some events and some fundraising activities next year involving EQUIANO, just to raise money for that. And then that will be going to certain projects that are happening in Africa. And then we'll just assess and see how we can then develop that relationship over the world to help eradicate modern slavery, because we still see a lot of that today. So yeah, again, it's something we, as founders of the company, we wanted to consciously be aware of our environment.
Yeah, that's it. Mr. Ian Burrell, thank you very much for your time.
Sean.
Much respect. Signing out from the Cayman Islands. You're in London town.
I'm jealous though. Because I wish after this that we'd be sitting down just having a little sip. I know it's early in the morning. It's like 10 to 2 here in the afternoon in London, and it's grey. I will be having a sip of rum because you got me in a rum mood now. And it's Friday, so I think I might have a little rum before happy hour.
All right. Well, I'll definitely sip on one today too in honor of you, and we will just keep it. The borders soon open up. The world will get back to normal. We'll be international again, and keep representing rums from all around the world.
And big up Kon Tiki.
Blah, blah.
Blah, blah, blah.